Are you ever just feeling completely overwhelmed by the chaos of modern life? Well, it turns out some of the most powerful wisdom for today's problems comes from, a pretty surprising source, an ancient book of wisdom. So let's dive in and see what it can teach us about navigating change.
We all face it, right? That moment when a crisis just hits you out of nowhere, or you feel completely stuck, burned out, and just totally unsure of what to do next. It can feel so overwhelming, like you're just constantly reacting to whatever life throws at you. But what if there was a better way? What if there was a playbook for this stuff?
Well, believe it or not, our guide for all this chaos comes from the I Ching, or the Book of Changes, and it offers a timeless strategy for navigating these exact moments. Now, this isn't about predicting the future or anything like that. It's a super practical guide for responding to the present. We're going to break down its powerful 4-step journey.
Our journey begins with a jolt. This is hexagram number 51, quake. I want you to think of it like a sudden earthquake hitting your life or your career or your business. Everything you thought was stable and secure is suddenly shaking. The ground is literally moving beneath your feet.
Now this right here is such an interesting paradox. How can terror and laughter possibly exist at the same time? I mean, it sounds crazy, but the I Ching's answer is actually pretty simple. Preparation. The fear of a potential crisis is what pushes us to prepare. And when that preparation actually works, the feeling isn't just relief, it's triumph. The fear becomes a blessing. So it all comes down to the choice we make before the quake hits. You can either panic, which almost always leads to loss, or you can prepare, which can bring incredible opportunity. I read about this meat supply business owner who, fearing a future pandemic, set up supply chains in a bunch of different countries. Well, when swine flu hit and his competitors got totally wiped out, his business thrived. He wasn't just surviving, he was laughing. That is the power of preparation.
The I Ching uses this incredible image to describe this state of readiness. The shock reaches 100 miles away, yet the wine in the ladle did not spill. This just captures the result of preparation perfectly, doesn't it? Even when a crisis is tearing through everything for 100 miles all around you, if you are anchored by a solid plan, your core values, that's the wine in your ladle, they stay secure. You stay steady right in the middle of the chaos.
So, how do we actually do this? Well, the text gives us a surprisingly modern framework for risk management. It's not enough to just identify risks. You have to create detailed recovery plans for each one. And here's the key step most people miss. You have to test them. Run a drill. See if your plan actually works before you need it.
Okay, so the quake has passed. The immediate crisis is over. Your first instinct might be to rush into action, right? To rebuild frantically. But the I Ching says the most powerful move is actually to do nothing at all. And this brings us to our second stage, the wisdom of hexagram number 52, mountain. The core concept here is Gen, which means to stop. Now, this isn't about giving up or being lazy. Nope. This is a strategic pause. It's the wisdom of being content right where you are, of knowing your boundaries and finding real strength in stillness before you make your next big move. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The text compares it to the stock market. The key to success isn't just about buying good stocks. It's knowing when to buy and when to sell. In life, it's the same thing. Knowing when to act and when to pause is, well, it's everything.
So the hexagram gives us this brilliant progression. Think of it like a series of warning lights. The first, and honestly the easiest time to stop, is right at the beginning, at the toes. The moment you feel yourself just starting to stray from your principles or your plan, that's the time to halt, before you've built up any kind of bad momentum.
But if you ignore that first little signal and just keep going, you reach the next stage. Now you're stopped at the calf. This means that external forces, your coworkers, your family, your sponsors, they have to step in. You end up feeling frustrated, like they're holding you back. But really, it's because you didn't listen to the signs earlier on.
Ignore those warnings, and you reach the most dangerous point. You're stopped at the waist. At this point, the resistance is immense. The potential for loss is huge, and there's a real danger of what the text calls burning the heart, which is basically complete emotional and spiritual burnout. It's like a gambler who keeps betting just to win back their losses. The smartest player is always the one who knows when to get up and walk away from the table.
So you've survived the quake, and you've found stability in the mountain stillness. Now it's time to move forward again. But not with some frantic sprint. This is where we meet hexagram number 53, gradual, which teaches us that true, lasting progress is slow, it's methodical, and it's built one step at a time.
The central metaphor for this stage is the journey of wild geese. And it's a perfect illustration of a career or any long-term project. You start at the shore, feeling vulnerable, maybe facing some criticism. Then you find stability on the rocks, enjoying some early success. You keep persevering to reach the high ground, and finally, you arrive at the summit, respected and successful, because you earned your place. Every single stage is a necessary step. So what's the secret sauce here? What does this gradual progress require? Well, the I Ching highlights a few key principles. First and foremost are perseverance and being teachable. The willingness to see things through and adapt along the way. But just as important is what not to do. The text warns that going it alone, breaking away from the group, well, that leads to disaster. True success is a collective journey.
Let's just boil this down to the core principles. Success isn't about luck. It's about sustained, smart work over a long time. It's about collaboration and being adaptable. And even when you reach the top, the journey isn't over. You have to maintain your grace and order, because that's what keeps you there.
And this brings us to the final and maybe the most crucial stage of our journey. You've prepared for crisis, you've found stability, and you've built success gradually. So how do you make it last? How do you multiply it? The answer lies in hexagram number 54, which uses the metaphor of marriage to talk about powerful, long-term partnerships.
Now this right here is such a game-changing idea. Most of us operate on a contract basis, a 50-50 split. I'll do my part if you do yours. But that's shaky. The I Ching advocates for a covenant, a 100-100 relationship. This means you are committed to giving your absolute best regardless of what the other person does. Their failure is not an excuse for your own. This is the bedrock of true, lasting success.
So how do you actually build these kinds of covenant relationships? Whether it's a business merger or a personal commitment, well, the text gives us some really clear advice. Overcommit resources at the very beginning to guarantee success. Don't rush into things. Be patient and wait for the right partner. Prioritize good character over flashy appearances. And most importantly, you have to actively invest your time and energy. This quote is so powerful because it illustrates the consequence of failing to invest. A partnership where neither side contributes anything of substance is just an empty ritual. It's a basket with no fruit, a sacrifice with no life. It exists in name only, and ultimately it's going to collapse, producing absolutely nothing of value. So there you have it, a 4-step roadmap for navigating any kind of change straight from this ancient wisdom. First, quake, prepare for those inevitable shocks. Second, mountain, learn the power of the strategic pause. Third, gradual, embrace that slow, steady, methodical progress. And fourth, partnership, build deeply committed 100-100 relationships to make your success last. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this question. Just take a second and look at your own life, your career, your current challenges. Are you in the middle of a quake? Are you resting on the mountain? Are you on that slow, gradual path of the geese? Or are you maybe trying to build a lasting partnership? Thinking about where you are right now can be the very first step to mastering the chaos.